I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country. Okay? We're going to kill them. You know, they're going to be like dead.
All right, settle in. It's 2:10 in the morning on Highway 395. A wall of fog, thick as soup, rolls across the asphalt, turning the road into a dark river. You know where headlights ought to be? There's nothing, just black. The pines sway in a cold wind, the whole forest breathing slow, like some prehistoric animal lying in wait. There's no traffic, no radio static, no signs of life for miles. But that silence, it's a lie. Hidden in that darkness is a lattice of surveillance so dense it threads through every ridge, every creek bed, every scrap of rock along the Arizona-California border. FBI signal nets, drone orbits floating under the cloud cover, SEAL reconnaissance nests dug into the ridgelines, a web designed for one night, one moment, one convoy. And before we go any further, if you're ready for this, hit that like button. It really helps us out and lets the algorithm know this is the kind of story you want, because tonight is the night everything changes. For 2 weeks, the FBI's been hunting a whisper, a rumor of a new cartel transport route they called the California Bypass, a billion-dollar pipeline that moved with the discipline of a military unit, not some back alley gang. When analysts traced a series of encrypted GPS files from a burner phone seized in Texas, the pattern froze them cold. CAN 4, Highway 395, a date, a window, and operational strings written in a condensed code only used by real recon units. Sky cold, High Road 4, South Bypass open. These weren't street-level thugs, these were operators. That's when the Department of Justice did something it hadn't done in years. It authorized Navy SEALs to support the FBI and DEA on American soil, not for the firepower, but because the cartels disciplined their formation spacing, their counter-surveillance. It looked like an underground military brigade. Shortly after midnight, SEAL teams fanned out across the high desert. They dug in near fallen logs, buried jamming gear under thin soil, camouflaged cameras inside dead trees. They placed pressure sensors calibrated to trigger only under the synchronized vibration of multiple vehicles moving in formation, not some wandering deer. Down along the road, FBI agents staged civilian-looking semi-trucks at rest stops, broadcasting decoy signals identical to freight haulers. On the hillsides, loiter drones hovered like ghosts, their infrared scanners sweeping the terrain every 11 seconds. Everyone waited. Then, at 2:43 a.m., the radar station at Ridgecrest flashed red. 8 heat signatures erupted over the Arizona hillside, moving fast. No headlights, no hesitation. Exact 45-meter spacing between the SUVs. That perfect interval, not 43, not 48. That was the tell. This was the convoy, the one they'd waited 14 days for. The moment the shadow they'd been chasing finally stepped into the open, the entire sector snapped to max alert. SEALs tightened helmet straps, thermal scopes powered on with a low hum, FBI teams locked down the escape routes, and miles above, an MH-60 Blackhawk in silent hover mode drifted over the cloud deck, its multi-million-dollar FLIR array quietly painting the dark terrain in shades of heat. Below it, the convoy glided deeper into California like an artery pumping poison. This cartel had engineered their system like a 5-layer military machine. Clean record legal drivers, escort SUVs with hidden compartments and encrypted radios, jamming vans built to scramble every license plate camera from here to Reno, technical stations hidden in warehouses where they'd swap SIM cards and reprogram GPS units, and at the top of it all, a ghost, a commander known only as the Shadow Operator. His orders came through voice-distorted transmissions with military-grade brevity. No names, no filler, just pure, cold operational language. Each week, $20 million in synthetic drugs and cartel cash flowed through these veins. And tonight, those veins were driving straight into a kill zone. When the convoy crossed the first sensor line, SEAL frequency monitors caught the moment everything changed. The jamming vehicle in the middle emitted a sharp RF pulse, a probing signal. The convoy suspected something. That was the green light. From the forward command post, the encrypted order went out. Night Phase 1, no live fire unless fired upon. Take them alive if possible. In seconds, SEAL teams broke cover. One unit slid down toward the highway to block the forward axis. Another looped behind, closing the rear. A forest team fanned left to choke off the dirt track escape. A three-sided envelopment, all triggered by a single flicker of cartel paranoia. Overhead, the Black Hawk dropped into action. Its FLIR beam swept across the SUVs, and that alone shattered the cartel formation. It was instantaneous, like an animal pack sensing a predator. One SUV veered hard into the forest, branches exploding under its tires. Another punched through a roadside fence, disappearing into the dark. The remaining vehicles slammed their accelerators, engines screaming past 140 kilometers an hour. No lights, no signals, just streaks of heat tearing across the highway in the SEAL's optics. Now the chase was on. East of the highway, an escort SUV tried to evade a drone sweep. It clipped soft soil, lost control, and sank into a shallow ravine. SEALs rappelled down fast, smashing windows with breaching tools. Inside, they didn't find gunmen. They found 5 coerced couriers tied with thin cord, oxygen-deprived and terrified. Human shields, the cartel's favorite insurance policy. North of the road, another SUV attempted a steep embankment climb. It rolled sideways with a metallic scream. SEALs tore the doors open and discovered 7 more bound captives. The battlefield had already split in 2, half pursuit, half rescue, but not every vehicle carried victims. A black SUV braked violently, spun sideways, and 3 gunmen leaned out with pistols, snapping bright muzzle flashes into the night. Rounds cracked against ballistic shields. The SEALs closed the distance instantly. High-speed, non-lethal rounds punched into limbs and torsos. Controlled shots engineered to incapacitate without killing. The fight ended in 12 seconds. Down the center lane, a luxury Escalade, the kind cartel commanders preferred, attempted a breakout, swerving through the chaos. FBI armored vehicles executed the rolling cage maneuver, boxing it in on all sides until it had nowhere to go. When the doors were breached, agents detained the driver and recovered a hard case packed with encrypted phones, satellite communicators, and a complete Mexico to California route list, a treasure map of the cartel's entire operation. The pursuit spilled into the forest. Drones scanned narrow thermal ribbons where fugitives sprinted between trees. SEAL trackers followed dry creek beds, reading tire depressions by moonlight. By the time the last drone completed its loop, the battlefield was clear. 2 SUVs blocked, 3 destroyed by crashes, dozens of coerced transporters rescued, multiple cartel gunmen detained, and in the hands of federal agents, a mountain of data that would change the coming war. Within minutes, the devices were rushed to a mobile analysis unit. The encrypted messages inside were chilling. Every order the convoy received came from a single number that blinked into existence near Laredo, then vanished without a trace. No greetings, no names, just pure command language. And the recovered audio clips? Each transmission used a different pitch, tone, and cadence, advanced voice morphing software. But the underlying command structure was consistent, calm, cold, professional. This wasn't cartel bravado. This was trained leadership. Shadow Operator wasn't a myth. He was real. That revelation unleashed the next phase. Within 36 hours, coordinated raids hit Los Angeles, Phoenix, and San Jose. They found warehouses disguised as command nodes, hidden servers with thousands of transport records, even a counterintelligence web of covert cameras monitoring U.S. authorities. But the most chilling discovery came from the Escalade's cracked 4th encryption layer. Phase 2 ready. New cover. A single line confirming the cartel was preparing to abandon ground convoys altogether. Refrigerated trucks, small aircraft, coastal routes, a complete metamorphosis. The FBI, DEA, DHS, and SEALS merged into one campaign, Operation Iron Meridian, a 60-day offensive to dismantle this hybrid military cartel empire. On paper, the night on Highway 395 was a major victory. But the war had only shifted, not ended. 3 days later, passive sensors along the Arizona border captured a familiar signal, broken frequency bursts, the exact pattern used the night the convoy was destroyed. Shadow Operator hadn't fled, he hadn't gone silent. He had simply pulled back, analyzed America's response, and started building the next evolution. The border wasn't a line anymore, it was a battlefield. So the watch continues. Drones under the clouds every night, SEALs on standby, the entire intelligence apparatus watching the silence, knowing it isn't peace. It's a pause, because somewhere in the darkness of northeast Arizona, another convoy will eventually move, and the next time it'll be different, faster, smarter, harder to detect. Shadow Operator is still out there, planning, waiting. The war has entered a new phase, and as always, the darkness hides the next battle. If you found this operation gripping, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next tactical story. We'll see you in the next one.